Hi, this is Kylie. Welcome to my studio. So in this video I am going to be altering some money envelopes. Now these envelopes are 7.6 centimetres by 10.2 centimetres, which is 3 inches by 4 inches. So I've had some smaller ones in the past, I've got some more that are slightly bigger, so that this is the kind of medium-sized ones. So mainly today I am not going to be using any paints as such, just some glue, some scissors. And this first envelope I'm going to be collaging on. I just took a piece from a magazine. These are threads that I got from a friend recently and I might use those. For the second one I'm going to use a piece of this fabric from Love Me Blue, and I'll leave her link below, along with the small embellishments that I've had for a while. And for the third card I received some things from APG Jamie when I did a recent ATC swap with her. So this is the card she sent me. I just wanted to let you see it. So thanks so much for that, Jamie. I love it. That embellishment's fabulous. I haven't seen any like that before. So I'm going to use some of the things that she included, and I will leave a link to her channel below as well. So I've put this a bit faster now because I was working at a snail's pace today. I'd intended just to make kind of 3 quick envelopes, but it took me longer than I intended. So I'm using those paper dolls that she gave me and some scraps of my own. I was going to use that piece of fabric, but in the end I don't use that. So this video today is part of the March prompt in the Mixed Media Emporium Facebook group that I co-host with Nina Ribena, and this month is all about creative envelopes. And last week I showed how to make some easy to make envelopes, and these sort of little money envelopes, you could just follow the same principle and create these. It's really just that they're kind of smaller size envelopes, so these could easily be made by hand. I just happen to have these in my stash. I got these, I think, out of one of the bigger supermarkets that has a stationery section. So I'm just taking my vintage photo distress ink and just going round the paper dolls and the other pieces of paper that I'm going to glue down and into place. So if you're not in the Mixed Media Emporium Facebook group and would like to join, there is a link below. And of course Nina will also have a video this week, and I will leave a link to her video below as well. And we are absolutely loving seeing all the amazing creative work that's going on in the group. It really is an inspiration to us as well. So just gluing these pieces down and in place. That was a piece of tissue paper that had different inks and paints and whatever on it. This is just a piece from a paper pad. I'd actually torn the backing off of this because it was quite a thick paper. It was double-sided, so I'd already at some point taken the other side from it. And I'm just going to glue these in place. I just used a glue stick there, and I'm just going to use a heavier glue to glue these 2 pieces down. And I was just going round the statement, which is living for joy, just going round that with some distress ink as well. So I put a little bit too much glue on here. I smooth it out with my finger, but you'll see when I put it down it's kind of squishing out a bit, but that wasn't a problem. Just managed to absorb it with my old rag, just cleaned it away with my rag. Now today was one of those days, as I say, I was trying to do a quick project today. Time was of the essence. Didn't have a lot of time today, but one of those things that things didn't quite go to plan. But I've left all of that in, so you will see that as we go along. That's just the way some projects go sometimes. and it's just about either deciding to scrap it and start again, or trying to make the most of it, and I've tried to make the most of it. So now just going round that with my distress ink, I do it back and front. Felt it needed a little bit more, so I've taken this piece of Punchinella, which is sequin waste, and I'm just stamping through that with the distress ink again, and it just fills those little gaps that were on the envelope, and I liked the way that that came out against that piece of paper. So I'm going to put that to the side. Not quite sure what else I want to do with it, and at this point I'm thinking that I want to get all the gluing done. So I decided to cut out the mandala, did that off screen, and going to glue this in place. Now in the magazine, although it's quite a pale image, I thought it looked really nice in the magazine, but once I got it glued down and in place, I felt that it was just too washed out looking. So again, just using the glue stick to put that down and in place. And the piece of paper did actually have a couple of ink marks on it, I think just from the printing process. So in some ways it's quite nice, but it just felt like it wasn't standing out at all. So I do ink around the envelope as well, and I'm looking at how these threads might wrap around it. I do like those colours, so later on you'll see what I decide to do with that. I put it aside meantime because I just wanted to kind of think about it a little bit. So on to the third card, and I'm taking out these faux flowers, a couple of different colours there. I like these, I've used them before. And looking at my piece of material now, I'd been going to cut just one of those leaves out with the kind of stem, but then I look and think, well, perhaps there's a way that I can cover the entire front of the envelope. So trying to make sure that I get one full leaf on it, because I know that the others will be cut out. So cutting it just a little bit smaller to make it a little bit easier to work with. And I want to try and save what I can for other projects, so trying to keep some of those leaves whole. And apologies, you will see my head popping in from time to time. You know, sometimes with work you've just got to get down a little bit closer to it, and unfortunately that can mean that the head goes in front of the camera. So I was going to try and glue this down with glue stick. I have occasionally managed to put fabric down with glue stick. This particular glue stick isn't that great, and you know, I discovered that it just wasn't going to do for this fabric. I don't know, maybe if I'd been able to put something heavy on it and leave it for a while, it might have worked, but I don't actually think so. So I resort to using another glue. Just the one that I used earlier. It's one of these kind of all-purpose glues. So get a fair amount of that down, and of course it will dry clear. Although it's going on white just now, it will dry clear. And again, I just smooth that out with my finger and get my material into place, just trying to make sure that it's covering all the front, and I just smooth that out with my plastic card. I don't cut it at this point because I want it to dry before I actually try and cut the material, otherwise I'd be in danger of it moving again. So I go back to my first card, I look at whether or not I want to add a bit of fabric to the back, but decide just to leave it for now. I was looking for my Stabilo All, couldn't find it, so I've just taken my black Inktense, and it will do something similar. I want them to have something to stand on, so putting in quite a dark, heavy line there, just so that they're not just kind of hanging in space. And then what I'm going to do is to take the black Inktense and actually go around the figures. Using some of the excess that was on the paintbrush at that time, but I do go around them all, and then I just take it and go around the edge of the envelope as well. And this just helps frame it and allows it to stand out just that little bit better. Just with a little bit of water on my brush, not much at all. Also go round the sentiment. So back to this one, and I'm going to cut off the excess material now. It's a lovely material. I got some lovely pieces from Love Me Blue, and I was using them previously in my boho journal, which I need to get back to, and I hope to pick up with that again sometime in the not too distant. So that's quite nice as is, but I do want to add on the little flower embellishments, and I'm looking here at, do I prefer one colour over the other? I don't think there's a right or a wrong. As I always say, it's very much down to personal preference. I decide to keep that large one in the kind of, I don't know, lilac colour, hard to say what colour it is, and add the two smaller ones in what's more a kind of khaki or olive colour. So just using that glue to put those into place. Want them overlapping slightly, so just move them and adjust them ever so slightly until I get them into the right position. And again, I'll just put that to the side to allow them to glue. This is a good thing about working on more than one at a time, can move back and forward between them. Now to turn to this, and this is where things perhaps went a little bit wrong. I decided that I would try and do a bit of colouring in. So I'm trying to pick 3 colours that roughly match those threads. So a kind of orange, a yellow and a green. I decided to take the gold rather than the yellow here. And I start to colour to go round it. I decide I don't want the gold round it at this point, so I start to colour the inside. Now, after I started, I realised if I was going to do the whole thing, this would take a while. So I got to that stage, then I decided bring out the Inktense and cover bigger areas all in one go. And this worked pretty well, but partway through I decided that I preferred the colour of the Inktense to the colours of the pens that were down there. So what I did then was I actually pulled the colour from the Inktense up and over the coloured pens that were there. I should say those were gel pens, and they were just again from a supermarket stationery aisle and no particular brand, and they were quite inexpensive. So you'll see where I've got to with that. I wasn't really liking it much at this point, but I decided to go round it in black and to see how that then looked. And that certainly helped it stand out a bit, but again I wasn't 100% certain about it. So I take the Inktense again and put a much thicker line around it. I actually do the lines almost radiating out from it, and again go over them with the paintbrush, and to me this just helped bring a bit more balance to the entire piece. I had thought about going over the entire thing with gesso and either reworking it or leaving it more kind of knocking it into the background, I guess. I also took the black pen at this point and I decided just to highlight bits of it, draw in some of the lines. So now that I'm a bit happier with it, I take my Sharpie water-based paint pen and just start to add some little highlights. Now again, a little bit of a disaster here, pen flooded, but you know, with these things it's just about trying to recover from it. So I guess I just pressed a little bit too hard. By this point I was rushing a little bit, but I just managed to wipe it away. And again, I think just adding the white dots really just brought it out a little bit more. And by the end of it, I felt more happy than I had done with it. And I know where I'm going to put this, which journal I'm going to put this into. And I suppose today I was just about trying to show that whatever your style, if you have a preference for different styles, you can take these kind of projects and make them your own by really just creating with your own style in mind. Or of course you can try different things. So since I had the Sharpie marker in hand, I then just added a few dots on the other cards. I thought it might look good around here. Again, I had a bit of a flood, so I had to clear that up. But I think it just helped bring a little something to the leaves here. I had to rub that quite hard. I will probably go over this again once it's fully dry, but it just helped this one stand out as well. So I do hope that you're enjoying the projects that I am bringing you, and that if you're in the Mixed Media Emporium, that you'll certainly have a go at them and will share your work with us if you're so inclined to do so. So all the links below that I mentioned, and I will be back again next week with another video relating to creative envelopes. So meantime, thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.